Hi friends, welcome to WebCamp. In this video, I'm going to talk about JavaScript object-oriented programming. Okay, so first we need to understand what is object-oriented programming. Then we can say that how JavaScript supports object-oriented programming. So let's say what is mean by object. Object is a real world entity. So in case of programming, we have multiple types of or different types of programming. Okay, programming structures or programming paradigms, we can say. So in these paradigms, first one is procedural programming. Second one is most important. Okay, it's functional programming. And next version of programming is object oriented programming, or OOPS concepts in programming language. Okay, so let's understand the difference between these three first, and then we will start with object oriented programming. Procedural programming means without creating functions. If you write program to follow certain procedure, okay, to get the desired output, so you have to write if else, you have to use the operators, everything you will use from the programming, but you will not use functions, you will not create functions. That programming language, okay, you will use array, map, set, string, you will perform different operation, you will validate those things, but you will not use functions, you will not create functions. Okay, that programming language is called procedural programming language. In the procedural programming language, focus is only on the process, not on the data. Okay, data can be anything. Means in procedural programming language, developer need not to worry about the data. But in case of functional programming language, the developer need to worry about the data, because what kind of data is coming and how it gets transformed to get desired value, to get the required output. If you create a functions, then that programming language is called functional programming language. Then what is an object oriented programming language? Object is nothing but, okay, we can say that object is nothing but a real world entity. And to represent that object, a class is created, and class is used to represent the object in the form of program. Means you have to define how or what are the features of your object, what are the properties of your object, what are the attributes of object. Those are things are already defined in class. That's what we have to see. Later on, I will talk on properties or attributes of objects, methods of object, and different ways to create an object in the JavaScript, how to access the JavaScript properties, that syntax I will talk, and at last, different ways to display object on HTML. That is what I am going to discuss in this video. So let's create a class first, but to create a class, you need a object. So you have to consider anything as an object. Anything means anything. Suppose in case of you have a water bottle in front of you, you can consider that bottle is your class. And you have to set the properties. Height, width, volume, these are the properties. Color is one of the property, right? And function or method of your bottle is, we can say that, to store the water. Okay, this is what a simple example that I thought. But let's take another example. Let's say you are a student, right? Let's say you are the object here, and you are a student, you are learning JavaScript. So you are a student. So now you have to create an object for yourself. You have to create a class. You have to consider yourself as an object and you have to create a class. Let's create a class first so that you will understand how we can imagine a real world entity in the form of class. Then how to define the class? To define the class, you have to use the word class and followed by class name. Let's say we are creating a class for student. This is what the syntax to create a class. Okay. And now we have created a class and we have in our mind that object is a student, right? And you are a student, so anyone you can imagine in your mind. Now you have to add the properties. Okay, now category is created. Class is nothing but a category. Student category is created. What student properties? What are the different student properties? The student may have a roll number or any other kind of ID, right? So we can say that roll number. Roll number is one of the property of student. Then he must have name, he must have contact details, he must have email address. So all these are the properties, or we can say attributes of object, because object is student, right? We are imagining, we are just, it is in imagination, it is in our imagination that we are assuming there is a one student who don't know. Okay, we don't know, or who, whoever would be there, either you or other me. Okay, no one knows who is the student. Maybe you are student, maybe I am student. Okay, but we have to imagine there is a one class, one category of student, and they may have these details. So those details are called properties or attributes. Okay, attributes. This is what all about the attributes. Okay, attribute is nothing but information in the terms of variable inside a class. I will tell how to write inside a class, but at very first place, we have to assume that properties or attributes is a simple variable that store the information about student. Student could be anyone. Anyone. Okay, whatever would be in your mind, you can imagine. Now, this student definitely can perform certain actions, right? Student may read a book. Student may write an exam, obviously, right? Student may attend classes. So we can say that these are the functionalities of student, and these are the functionalities are represented by the functions in the terms of object oriented programming. This is also called methods. Okay, this is also called methods. So whatever the action or some kind of activities happen by the student is called method or action, a method or function. So this is how a student can be imagined. Now let's write these things programming. Okay, in the terms of programming language. So what I need to do is here I have to create a name, right? And I need to, once I declare the name, the syntax is you need to write certain name, okay, followed by colon, followed by value. So I will say Brahma. Okay, this is what my property. Okay, on next line. So you can, what you can do is you can, yes, definitely you can use this is equal to, we have to use the colon, but I will tell you when we have to use the colon. Whenever we create a class, we don't need to use the colon. We need to use semicolon. But definitely there will be a situation where we need to use the colon also, that we will see in some time. Okay. So first value or first property of student I have created, and the value is assigned here itself. Right. Now, what I will do, I will say last name is Bajut. Okay. After that, I will say email is equal to, and I will say Bram Bajute at the rate gmail.com. So these are the email addresses. Okay. Later on, I can say contact. I'm just adding, I'm considering myself as a student and I'm just adding properties to my class, which is a virtual. Class is an imaginary entity. Okay. Object is a virtual entity. I am an object here and I am presenting myself in the terms of programming. Email, name, contacts. So I will say 9503756685 is my contact number. And now, next is, let's say, roll number. If somebody has assigned me, or if I am a student, I should have a roll number. So this is what all about my properties. Okay. Now, what are my functionalities? I can read a book. So reading book is a functionality, right? And how to create a function in JavaScript. So you can write a function in a JavaScript like this. So this is my functionality, reading book. And the function is going to return something. So I will say return. Okay. And I will return one string from this function, and it will say, oh, it will say, or I would like to add name here. So I will say name plus. Okay. I don't want to use this keyword here. So I will say name, or name underscore I will say, because name is reserved keyword in JavaScript. Okay. So name underscore will work for me. And here I will write, he is reading book. Okay. So this is how I have created a one function. If I wanted to write another function, I will say write exam, and this is my another function I'm going to write here, and I will say return. Since name underscore is already created variable, okay, it will not be a problem for me. Why this is coming, I will definitely talk on this. Okay. So name underscore is writing a exam. So this is how I have imagined myself as a student. And as a student, these are my properties and these are my functionalities. The action performed by me. Okay, let me clear screen. Now it looks better. And this is how a class is created in JavaScript. This is how a class is created in JavaScript. So once you are done with, or once you have a class, okay, then how to create an object, right? So to create an object, there are different ways in JavaScript. First, at very first, you can create an object using constructor. Okay, what is a constructor? I have not talked on this, but definitely I will talk, because constructor is a special method. Okay, so we have not created any function here. But what JavaScript will do, JavaScript will create one function called student. Okay, one construction default function, but JavaScript do not have a student. I mean, the class name as a constructor name. So in a JavaScript, there will be a constructor will be created as a constructor, and constructor is a method, right? And it will add default, it will add, okay, constructor method. Then you have to say the constructor name, and many other things are there, but that I will discuss in my another video. Here what we are doing is we are just to understand what is object oriented programming. Okay, and now you have to create an object of this class. So simply class is a template, sorry, yes, class is a template for object. Class is a template for object. So this is how we can create a class. And if you want to create an object, definitely you need to use new keyword, as we have created an object for string using new string keyword, right? So their string was a constructor. Here student will be a constructor. That is default. We are not going to write constructor now itself, but even though we do not write, JavaScript will create a constructor for us automatically. And then you can use, so I will say let, okay, let S1 student 1 is equal to new student. Okay, new student. And yes, this is my constructor. Student is my constructor. So here you would be able to see the constructor student of student class, right? So this is how it works. Automatically it will be created by the JavaScript. We do not need to write at the very first place. Later on, or in my next video, definitely I will talk on constructor and inheritance, how it works, how to write a constructor, how constructor is created in the JavaScript. Definitely that will be a very important topic. But for every class, since we are not going to create, what JavaScript will do, JavaScript will add a constructor here like this. Okay. And the constructor is a special method, that is what called automatically. The purpose of constructor is to initialize the attributes of object. So in case of JavaScript, you do not need to, if you came from the Java background, then Java has a functionality to create a constructor using this class name itself. Okay, but in case of JavaScript, you do not need to use the class name. You have to say simply constructor and the method, and that is what the constructor of student call means. This is what the syntax. Okay, and that constructor is used to create the object. If we do not write this constructor, it will automatically created by the JavaScript. That's why we are able to see the same signature here. Now I have created one object. Okay. And as I said, constructor is a special method which is used to initialize the attributes of object. Attributes is nothing but these properties. I will talk on that later. Okay. Once you have created an object, definitely you should know how to access the properties or attributes of object, or how to call the methods of object, right? And there is a syntax called s1 dot. Okay, object name dot, and here you will see it is automatically highlighted. Okay, name underscore, then l name, email, contact. If I say l name, but I would like to see this on my document. So what I will do, I will cut this and I will say document. I mean, I wanted to print this output on the HTML. So I will say documents, right? And document dot write s1 dot contact. So this will come here and this will print. But why this is not printing? It should print s1 dot contact. Yes, it is referring to the student dot contact, and it is type of return is number. Yes. So here you are able to see the output that number is printed on screen. This is how we can access. Another way to access this is this syntax. Okay. S1 means object name followed by a square bracket. Inside square bracket, we have to pass object name as a string. And if I go here and if I refresh, still you will be able to see the same output. Let's see if I change this to name underscore. Okay, so that you will see my name on the screen, right? So this is how, these are the two ways to access the object properties from class. Okay, so these are the two ways. First one is use, either you can use the dot syntax or either you can use bracket syntax as I shown. Okay, so if you, this is what the bracket syntax. If you want to use the dot syntax, definitely you can use. So I will say documents dot write s1 dot, and I would like to say roll number. Okay, so this will also call the object properties. If I came here and if I write here, you will see 101 is called by this function or this statement. Definitely. So now how constructor is used, right? Or how constructor will help us to initialize the attributes of object. Definitely you can call reading book also from here. If I go and if I say what I can say, that reading book, and since this is a function, you have to pass the parenthesis for this and go here and refresh. Okay, and what is the issue here? And catch reference name underscore is not defined. Okay, that is the issue. So here what I need to do is I will have to say this dot name, and this is referring to the current object's name. Name is a property here, but how this is used in JavaScript, I will talk now. Okay, so now, as I said, constructor is used to initialize the attributes of objects. Means these properties are to be initialized by or initialized via constructor. Okay, so what is a constructor? Constructor is a special method. It is again a method like this. Like we have a method reading book, we have a method called write exam. Similarly, we have a constructor, right? Definitely constructor is a method. As I said, constructor is a special method which is called automatically. Okay, this method, constructor method, is called automatically. We do not need to call that method. Okay, that method will be called automatically when object is created. So like this, whenever we write s1 is equal to new student, definitely the constructor will be called here automatically. And that is what the advantage of constructor. And that's why constructor is used to initialize the attributes of objects, to initialize the properties of objects. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to create a constructor here. Instead of writing properties in this way, I would like to create a constructor. Okay, so how to create a constructor? So go here. Very first, you have to write a constructor. Okay, this is, since this is a method, you have to pass the parenthesis followed by curly braces. Okay, and this is your constructor. So if I say return, okay, return, constructor is going to return what? Or here, what I will do, I will say only document dot write, so that I do not need to call this separately. Constructor is called. So this is how I have written a program. I'm not going to call anything. Okay, I have simply created an object, and here you will see that something is there on your screen. And what it says that constructor is called. Constructor is called automatically. Did I call the constructor? No, I did not call. I simply created an object of that class, whatever the class I have created. And the constructor is called automatically. Developer or any user do not needs to call the constructor. Okay, and that's why constructor is used. So earlier we have seen, right, I have created a property here called name underscore, right, and which is equal to Brahma. And if I go here and if I say s1 dot reading book, and if I try to read the data, here you will see that nothing is coming on my screen, but I was expecting something. But here in the console, there is a error. Name underscore is not defined. Okay, why? We won't be able to use the variable or object properties directly like this in our program, in our methods or object methods. Then you have to define that underscore, name underscore is a property or attribute of object. And then how to define? Okay, then how to define? That's why constructor is used. So what I will do, I will say name here or name underscore here, comma, then I will pass name. I am going to pass the properties where I will create the object. Okay, whenever I will create the object, with that object will pass his properties, or we are going to pass the object's properties whenever we create an object, because we don't know what would be in our mind, who will be our object. Okay, so what I will do, I will say email. So these three things I need as a object attributes. So now I have constructor, and constructor has three parameters. Definitely it should have, and it has. Now I would like to say that this dot name, or this dot name underscore is equal to name underscore. Okay, so here you can see that this name, okay, right side name underscore is going to refer this variable value or this parameter value. We have already seen what is a parameter or how parametric functions works. Okay, so here I will say this dot L name, which is equal to L name. Again, I will say this dot email, which is equal to email. Okay, I will talk on this, why this keyword is used? Actually, this keyword is used to represent the current object. What is mean by current object? That is what is very important. That's why we need to create multiple objects, and then you will get idea why this is used. Okay. And now, if I wanted to call this here, so I definitely need to use this variable name, because this is going to refer the current object. We don't know who would be the current object, either S1, S2, S3, S4 will be there. And this is how we have created a constructor. Constructor is used, and here we have initialized attributes of object, attributes of current object by using this keyword. What does mean by current objects? Okay, let's see. Let me create one more variable. Let's say stu is equal to new student. And since I have created two different variable, I have to pass the properties. I wanted to pass the variable name. Okay, so I will say first name is Brahma. Okay, last name is Bachute. And my email is brambachute@gmail.com. Okay, so this is what a first student. That's why I said you have to imagine anyone as a student. You have to write a class, and you can use the same class to create multiple objects. That is the beauty of object-oriented programming. Now you can create thousands of objects, and you don't need to write code for each object. This class will work for all those thousands of objects. So what I will do, I will pass values here. Now, here I would like to pass new value Aditya. I will say Mane. Okay. And here I will say aditya@gmail.com. This is how I have created two objects. Okay. So now what is the importance of this keyword? What I will do, I will say S1, hey, S1 dot reading book. Okay. So now you tell me, or you can think over it, that who is calling the reading book? Right? Who is calling the reading book? Reading book is called by S1. S1 is Brahma. Right? So what this should refer, this keyword is specially going to refer for the S1. S1 has name of Brahma. And if I go here, and if I say S2 dot reading book, okay, and here two different objects are going to call the same method, and we are looking to print the output. But to print the output, what we need to do, we need to use documents dot write method. Definitely without this method it will not work. And I will copy this, I will paste here, and I will change the object name only. Okay, so I have two different objects, S1 and S2, of same class. Both are going to call the same method. Then what would be my output? So here you can see that first call is referring to the Brahma. S1 is referring to the Brahma, is reading book. Second, S2 is referring to the Aditya. This is the use of, or that is the use of this keyword. Or this is, we can say that it is a keyword. It's not a keyword. Actually, this is representing the current object only. So whoever is going to call the reading book method, this will say, hey, this means S1 is, okay, this is going to refer. When S1 call reading book, this is going to refer to the S1. when S2 calls reading book, this is going to refer to the S2. And this is the beauty of this keyword and object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is specially used or specially designed for the code reusability. And this is how same class can be used by multiple objects. This is what the code reusability. That is the beauty of constructor. So we can say that constructor is a special method which is used to initialize the attributes of objects. So now you have a clear picture about attributes. Attributes is nothing but a variable that are going to store the information about that object. And what is the class? Class is a simply a representation of object in the terms of programming. Class allow you to design object, decide the attributes, or present properties or attributes of object in terms of variable, and actions in the terms of functions inside a class. So this is what the class and object. So we have seen object, we have seen class, we have discussed the properties or attributes of objects, methods. Then we have discussed a constructor. What is a constructor? I talked how to create a constructor, how to create a parameterized constructor. Constructor is a special method which is called automatically when object is created. Now I would like to talk on different ways to create object. Right? What are the different ways to create objects? Sometimes you do not need to write a class. Okay, you do not need to write a class or the programming in this way. What you can do, first way to create an object is create, okay, I will write everything here so that it will be clear for you. Create object using object literals. What is mean by object literal? Okay, there is a simplified way. You have to define let person. Okay, person is a object. Okay, and here you have to pass the properties inside the curly brackets. It is not necessary to write everything on the single line. You can split properties on different lines. So here what I will do, I will say name underscore, and whenever you use object literals, you have to use a colon here to set the properties, and instead of semicolon you have to use the comma, and I will say Brahma. Okay, this is what my property is. Or instead of student, I am going to create one object called person. Okay, I'm directly creating object here. I'm not creating class, but this is the way. Okay, this is what we call is as a object literal, and I will say Bachute. Okay, I will say Brahma Bachute. Okay, then next is email. Email is followed by brahmbachute@gmail.com. The next is contact. Okay, I would like to write, or if you want to write a function directly here, yes, definitely you can write. I will say full name. Full name is going to return, and return. What is this going to return me? I will say this dot current object dot name. Okay, here name underscore plus. I'm going to join concatenation operation I used by using plus name. Right. So this method will return. Since we already have an object, we do not need to create an object. Okay, once again, because there is already we have created an object, and this is what the way to create an object. One of the way to create an object, you do not need to define a class every time. We can create directly object. That is a data structure in JavaScript. Either we can create a class and then we can create an object. That is also possible in this way. Or if you use object literals in this way by using curly brackets, and it's like a variable, that is also possible. Yes, definitely. Now what you need to do, you have a object using object literals, you can call. Okay, how to call? I will say person. Same way, either you can use dot syntax or you can use bracket syntax. So I will say person dot full name. Full name will be called. Okay, but this is what, not going to write anything on document. So I will say document documents dot write, and here I will pass that. And this is how it works. So this will print my full name on browser. Here you will see Brahma Bajute. Okay. So what I will do, I will go here and I will say plus, I will add a break tag so that it will print my output on new line. I will copy this and I will add this to here also. And here you will see the output. This is what my current call output. Okay. This is how it works. You can create an object directly. You can create an object and you can pass the object to HTML. Okay. So this is one way. Create object using object literal. Another way, we have already seen that we can create class and we can create a class and its object using constructor. So creating an object by using constructor is a second way. Okay. So here what I will write, I will say one dot. Another method is something that two dot is creating object using, okay, using class. Instead of say, I will say constructor, using constructor, right? This is what we have already seen, using constructor. Next is, if you want to create an object directly, you can create an object by using new keyword. How to create an object using new keywords? So I will show here. I will say three dot. Okay, create object using new keyword. Okay, what is new keyword? So let me say let. Okay, let. P1 is a person object. Okay, and I'm going to create an object. So, but I wanted to create an object only. So you can say this object, new object, and it will create an object. Now you have to add the properties. How to add property? The way we can access the property, the similar way, I mean, similar syntax we can use to add the properties. So I will say p1 dot name is equal to Brahma. Okay, only one property I will add to show you how it works. If you want to write a function, definitely you can write a function p1 dot full name, and okay, so this is the way to write function also. Yes, expected. Now you need to write a function p1 dot full name is equal to, yes, here you will have to say function. Okay, and here you can write a function which is going to return anything. So I will say Brahma Bajute. Okay, so this is the way, right? So here what we are going to use is another anonymous function we are going to use. Next thing is, next way to create an object is using create method. Okay, let's say we have created person object here, and you have to create another object with different properties. Yes, definitely you can create object of objects. How to create that? Fourth way is using create method of object class. Okay, so how to create? Okay, let me say let me is equal to me is the object, new object, and I have to create object. I will say object dot create, and here what kind of object I have to create? So I will say person. So here person is already created, right? This kind of object will be another object will be created or with the same kind, and we can say that me dot name is equal to and Aditya. Definitely you can write here. I will say document dot write and me dot name, and you will see the output on the screen by adding this. Okay, break is I'm just adding so that output should get printed on new line, and here Aditya is getting printed. Okay, these are the 4 ways to create an object. And we have seen how to access the properties of object, how to call the functions of object. Right now it's time to see a last point. We have seen this, we have seen this also different way to display the object. So let's see how we can display object. Okay, every time it is not possible to use the property and all, but there are different ways. So definitely one way is very effective way you can use or you can access the object properties by using dot symbol or any of the property name, as we have used here also. We have used here also. That is what you can use. But still, if you want to use loops also, you can use. If you want to use the object dot values method, you can use. Okay, so first one is what we have seen already, display object. First way to display object is using property name. This is what we have seen, right? What I can say that dot syntax, or what I can say dot syntax or bracket syntax. Definitely yes, square bracket we can use, bracket syntax. However you want to remember, you can remember. Okay, another way is to use loop, using loop. So now we can apply the loop, right? Let me have this or consider this object. We have a object called person. Okay, and what I will do, I will apply a loop on this. So I'm going to write a loop. How to write a loop we will see. So directly we can write a loop. For in loop we are going to use here using loop. So I will say for, okay, x in person, and what it will do, it will say document dot write, and here I will try to print x. Every time I will print x so that you can see the output is what x is going to return us, or what will be there inside x. So x is nothing but a property name, right? X is nothing but a property name, and this will unpack. This is what the unpacking my object. Now we have a property name, definitely, so we can access any of the property. We can access any of the property. So what I will do, I will say person of x, and now here instead of property names you will see values. Okay, and what it says uncatch person is not defined, person small p is not there, it should be a capital P. That's why. And here you are able to see Okay, attribute values are there, but what about the functions? Okay, the function will not be called in this way. You need to call the function in another way, right? Using dot syntax, person dot full name. If you say, definitely it will return that. But loops are not going to call function. It will give you the values of attribute in the way we have written loop in front of you or on the screen. Next is, okay, there is one more method, third way to access the property. Okay, what went wrong? Okay, I supposed to click here. Here, what I will do, I will say using what I have to use. Using object. Object has method called values. So I will say values. Okay. So this method is we can use to access the objects, object dot value. Let's see how we can use this method. So what I will do, I will create constant array. So why I am using constant dot array? Because values method is going to return you the array of attribute values. Okay. So what I will do, I will say object dot values, and values of what? So values of person object you need to pass here. Okay, inside a value you need to pass object. This is what the, okay, here you can see the signature of method, how method is designed or what it is going to return. It is going to return a array, right? So now let me write this on documents dot array, sorry, documents dot write, and inside a write method I have to pass array, and you will see output, some kind of weird output here. This is what returned by that method. Okay, the method is also returned, but method syntax comes, method value will not be returned because we are not going to call the method. That's why. And this is what my array. So this is how object dot values method used. If you want to access the only first value, as we can use array, we know that arrays are indexed. If you say 0, it will return Brahma only, first value or first item of array. So this is what the one of the way. And last way is we can use JSON dot stringify method. There is a one more method. Okay, that is also can be used. That method can be used, or JSON object. JSON is something that we have not yet seen, but I will say JSON dot stringify stringify method, right? And how this method used, we can use. So what we can do is we can say let, I will say object data, okay, and JSON dot stringify. So what this method will do, this method will convert person object or person properties or properties of person object. It converts into string, and that is what we are going to print. So now if I say documents dot write here, if I say object data, so what it will do, it will, this function JSON dot stringify will return all my values. Okay, all my values in the terms of string. You will see the output. Okay, and that is what we are going to print on the screen. And this is the way. Okay, this is a JSON object. So not from that, here whatever you can see inside the curly brackets, that is the output of our JSON.stringify. So entire JSON means JavaScript object is converted into the string format by using JSON.stringify. And these are the different ways to display the objects. So with respect to our JavaScript object-oriented programming, whatever you can see on the screen that I have discussed, okay, in my best ways. I hope you like the content. Do not forget to subscribe the webcam and like the videos. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day.